A lot of people asking why President Clinton is coming to the Panhandle. Well, there's a number of reasons. First of all, for the first time in a long time, a Democratic presidential candidate is ahead in the polls in Florida. It's the first time that's happened in a very long time. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But first, let's take a look, if we can, at some polls that were done here in Bay County a couple of weeks ago. This is the exclusive News 13 Panama City News Herald poll that was done in conjunction with Gerald Doolittle from Gulf Coast Community College. One of the questions we ask a number of questions concerning local political races, but one of the questions we did talk about was the president's race in that polling. And let's take a look, if we can, at how Bay County voted in that presidential poll. Let me remind you, there were 377 people polled, all registered voters in that poll. And the first screen that we're about to look at is the total vote, the total number of voters. Out of the 377 voters polled, this is how it broke down. 38.2% said they would vote for President Clinton in November. 46.2% said they would vote for Bob Dole come November. Another almost 5% decided they would vote for other candidates, and almost 11% say they were undecided. Now, if we look at how Democrats voted in this, there were 264 of the Democrats polled. You can see there almost 50% there saying they would support President Clinton, but 36% of the Democrats polled said they would vote for Bob Dole. About 5% saying they would vote for another candidate, and over 11%, almost 12%, undecided. You take a look at the Republican side of this poll, and of course it's a totally different story. President Clinton gets just a little more than 15% of the Republicans' vote. Bob Dole getting the majority of it, almost 75%. Only 3% going for other candidates, apparently the Ross Perot's and the other candidates who have announced, and about 10% undecided. Pardon me. So as you can see here in Bay County, it looks like Bob Dole, this is Bob Dole country, so possibly a good reason for President Bush to stop through here on a campaign trip. However, if we look at what's going on across the nation, President Clinton pulling out to a very comfortable lead after the Democratic convention. A CBS, New York Times, and CNN poll, or a CNN Gallup poll and USA Today poll, show that President Clinton has double-digit leads over Bob Dole. And an ABC poll in conjunction with the Washington Post said that 50% of the voters believe they are better off now with President Clinton than before he was elected. The only bright spot for Bob Dole is a poll coming from Gallup that says Bob Dole ties with Bob Clinton for people who said they are most likely to go to the polls and vote. Again, people will answer questions, but if they will turn out of the polls, that's a different story, and that is the only bright spot in the national polls right now for Bob Dole. Well, I understand Linda Powell is standing by now live at Tyndall Air Force Base. And Linda, how close is the president to touching down?
President's plane, Air Force One, is about 8 to 10 minutes away from touching down, give or take 1 or 2 minutes. They're not real precise on the whole issue. A very busy day out here. Let me tell you a little bit about the trip over. You could see all of the flags lining what is expected to be the parade route down 15th Street, although we don't know that for sure. There were flags in all of the medians, the grassy area. All the campaign signs have been removed, and a bunch of the businesses along 15th Street have put out signs welcoming President Clinton to Northwest Florida. Once we arrived on base, we received our press credentials and came back to the flight line where Air Force One is expected to land. Secret Service went through our bags and our camera gear, make sure that everything was okay with that, and we've been waiting anxiously for Air Force One to arrive.
Well, Linda, let me ask you this. I understand the press plane has already arrived. Is that correct?
Yes, the press plane touched down, I would say, maybe about 20 minutes ago. And the National Press Corps they're still getting checked in, and their things still being gone through by Secret Service. Also on hand, helping out the Secret Service, the Bay County Sheriff's Department and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Kind of interesting, the caravan, I don't know, can you turn the camera so we can see down here? The presidential motorcade. We've got 1, 2, 3 limousines. The middle one there is the one I believe that the president is going to be in. There are several police cars in front of the limousines. And then over to this side, we have got several local police officers, motorcycle officers, who will be leading that motorcade on the way to the college. Kind of interesting, all those vehicles that you saw over there, all those vans and everything, Their hoods had to be open. Secret Service double checking everything with dogs and inspecting each and every van. You wouldn't think that a police car would need to be inspected, but they all got inspected.
Well, Linda, you've been a little bit incognito for the last hour or so, kind of what you would call out of communication range because of the Secret Service sweep. We do understand that motorcycle police officers from, we assume at this point, the Bay County Sheriff's Office has begun to sort of clear the way down Tyndall Parkway. That is the assumed route. But, you know, there has been a lot of speculation that President Clinton would take a helicopter from Tyndall Air Force Base over to Gulf Coast Community College. Any sign of any helicopters out there?
There was a helicopter out here. There's one to my left. It's out in the middle of the runway here. But I believe that was used by those two gentlemen standing there to go up and do a pre-check of the area. There have been vans doing pre-checks, and that helicopter was up. It probably did just a flyby to make sure everything was okay. And that was maybe about 10-15 minutes ago that it landed back down.
Okay, so it appears at this point that President Clinton will head up Tyndall Parkway, or at least up. He's got to go over the DuPont Bridge. We know that. So he's going to go up Highway 98 for part of his trip to Gulf Coast Community College. Linda, we'll check back with you in about 3 or 4 minutes, and hopefully the President's plane will be nearing our landing there at Tyndall Air Force Base. Linda Powell joining us there live from Tyndall Air Force Base. We're going to take a quick station break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with more of our coverage of the presidential visit to Bay County.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
Okay, you're the ketchup boy. When you see a burger, you squirt the burger. Ketchup, burger. Any questions?
Do I ever make it without ketchup?
At Sonic, we make it any way you want it. Like our made-to-order Sonic Burger and one of our old-fashioned shakes right now just $1.99. So break away from the ordinary and drive into Sonic. Sonic, driving for a change.
In most stores, when you buy magazines, snacks, greeting cards, pantyhose, and lots of other items, you pay the full package price. But not at Winn-Dixie, where you get a 10 to 50% discount every day. Save 10% every day on chips and snacks. Spices, school supplies, and pantyhose are 20% off.
Welcome back to our coverage of President Clinton and his visit to Bay County. Let's go straight back out to Tyndall Air Force Base. Linda, I understand the plane is on its way.
I believe this is it. I have never seen Air Force One from a distance, or at least not this far of a distance, but that appears to be the President's plane as you see coming in now. Hard to tell. Air Force One is absolutely huge. If you've never seen it, it is a 747 that is actually the length of a football field, if you could imagine. 2 floors, I believe, on this plane, an upstairs and a downstairs. Of course, it has to have a lot of room to carry all the President's people along with the President. Also on board the plane today is Governor Lawton Chiles. He's accompanying the President on his tour through Florida these past couple of days. The President spent the morning in Orlando, and he gave several different speeches, and also said one of his highlights to that trip, one of his speeches, that August's unemployment rate is a real bright spot. He said he's actually created jobs through his 4 years in office and wants another 4 years in office. Kind of watch the plane as it lands. Now, I'm told that the plane had to land here because it was it's really the only place in the area that that's long enough for such a long plane to actually land and or take off. That's why Tyndall Air Force Base. Plus, you have to figure that it's relatively secure here already, being a military installation.
Well, Linda, that is definitely Air Force One. You can tell
there
from the 747's
yes.
Bubble top on top. That is definitely the President's plane. The bright blue stripe down the side and covering the cockpit area.
Oh, yeah. Boy, it is a huge plane.
It is a big plane. It's quite a sight. I had the opportunity to see President Bush 4 years ago fly into Pensacola. And you see this on television, but it's nothing like seeing it up close. And I think we should mention at this point that this part of President Clinton's trip was not open to the public.
Right. The only people allowed on the flight line are the media, the Secret Service people, obviously, and some of the other security personnel. In fact, Tyndall Air Force Base actually cleaned out the base. They told all people to go home at 2 o'clock or to leave base, but if they were staying on base, they had to stay where they were, in their homes or whatever. So they're not even allowing their own, you know, military people over this way.
Right.
All flights were suspended shortly after this morning. They got in their flying that they needed to do, then everything was suspended for the afternoon to prepare for President Clinton's arrival.
Well, one of the luxuries of being the President of the United States and flying on Air Force One is you don't have to wait in holding patterns. You don't have to wait for air traffic control to taxi you in. We should see this plane come up very shortly here to the tarmac, to the off-ramp, and then we should see a lot of folks starting to come off of this plane, Linda.
Yeah, would you think it's one of the perks of the job, huh? Not having to wait.
Well, and you know, and it's worth mentioning at this point, a lot of people believe that the President flies around on this plane for free. If he is doing business for the government, for the United States of America, that is true. However, on campaign trips, such as Mr. Clinton is on right now, his campaign must pay for the use of Air Force One.
Right, no taxpayer money.
No, that is true, and I would imagine that is not a cheap ride he's taking today.
I wouldn't even want to guess, Tom, I'm telling you.
But it is, again, a magnificent sight to see that plane touch down anywhere in the world, and you just automatically know that the President of the United States is on board Air Force One.
Well, we have a small crowd of people here waiting to greet the President as he comes down off the plane. Joe Chapman, who is largely responsible for getting President Clinton to come to the Panhandle, or at least to our little section of the Panhandle, is here to greet him, along with, I believe, the head of the Navy base and the head of Tyndall Air Force Base, and also outgoing Congressman Pete Peterson is here. You know that they're going to have a special ceremony for him later on this evening.
Pete Peterson has been nominated by President Clinton to become the first ambassador, U.S. ambassador to the country of Vietnam.
Right.
And that right now that appointment is being held up in Congress. So probably a lot riding on the future of not only that post, but the possibility of Pete Peterson's part in that post with the election. If President Clinton becomes re-elected, we imagine that he will be able to push that post through Congress, and Pete Peterson, being his choice before, will most likely be his choice after. However, if for some reason Bob Dole becomes the next President of the United States and that position is pushed through, you would expect that position to go to a Republican. Of course, we don't want to make Bob Dole's decisions for him, but
well,
that is obviously a possibility. Republicans generally do appoint Republicans to ambassadorships. So, but Pete Peterson having a nice 6-year career in Washington, and he is probably obviously not as high in stature this evening as the President and Mrs. Clinton, but he is one of the guests of honors tonight at Gulf Coast Community College.
Yes, and of course one of the President's goals, or one of the things that he would like to do, is pick up some votes here in this area. Boy, the Panhandle, or at least this particular section, tends to vote Republican. I told you about the signs coming down Tyndall Parkway. It was kind of nice to see, you know, everybody pitching in and at least making this sitting president feel welcome, no matter what they are, Republican or Democrat. And there you can see the plane still taxiing. Looks like it's going to make a turn and come up here in front of us. It's amazing how quiet this particular jet is.
Wait till it gets up near you.
Yeah.
it can put out quite a bit of noise.
You can see all the fighter training jets here lining the runway, stacked nice and neat. They were put up shortly after, right after, I guess it was about noon. Now we can hear some noise. No indication yet how long the plane will sit before disembarkment, but he's been keeping it pretty much on schedule. And you know, he's visited several cities over the last 2 days and spending an hour and a half, 2 hours in each one. You've got to imagine that a swing through like that in Florida I mean, 2 days of heavy-duty campaigning can be somewhat tiresome.
Well, it does appear, you're right, Linda, they're keeping fairly close to the schedule. The plane was scheduled to touch down at 4:10.
Yeah.
And it's been on the ground for probably just about 10 minutes now. So it appears that they are on schedule. Now, the next stop would be Gulf Coast Community College via the motorcade, and that is supposed to happen at 4:30. So they should be disembarking very quickly. In fact, that would be a 10-minute drive if they got off the plane right now to get to Gulf Coast by 4:30. So they may be a little late in making that goal. But we do understand that they have cleared Tyndall Parkway if that is the route that he is to take, and they will be traveling at fairly high speeds with police escorts. So if
well,
you
figure, I think they estimated it, and I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think they estimated it would take 12 minutes for the motorcade to leave Tyndall Air Force Base and to arrive at the college. So 12 minutes for that length of roadway, you're going to have to figure it's going to be cleared, if that's the route, all the way as a straight shot. It's going to have to be.
For those who are trying to get a glimpse of President Clinton and Mrs. Clinton as they do drive from Tyndall Air Force Base to Gulf Coast Community College, we know for a fact the best chances will be around the DuPont Bridge up until the point where the Highway 98 and Business 98 fork off there in Parker, and then of course somewhere around Gulf Coast Community College. They will have to arrive somewhere, most likely on Highway 98 at Gulf Coast Community College. We do not anticipate them taking 23rd Street. However, the route still has not been officially released for security purposes. The Secret Service generally does not release this information ahead of time.
Yeah, they didn't answer too many of our questions. Of course, we were wondering how long, how far out is it? And even then, they're in vague terms, and that's what they have to do. It's for the protection of the president, for the people on the plane. You can see the stairs are being wheeled over, the door to Air Force One being opened. Several police cars now, and the presidential limo pulling up to...
Linda, is that President Clinton standing in the doorway?
No, that is not.
No?
No, he's either, he has something to do with the plane, but I'm not sure what, because the captain's still sitting up there, and...
That could be the first officer of the jet. I thought it would be unusual that the president would be standing there without the ramp up front there.
Yeah. We're having some interference in our audio. I'm not sure. The people you see down on the ground now are the National Press Corps people. And again, I'm getting a noise in my ear. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not.
Yeah, we can hear you fine, Linda, but if you would hold your thought a moment, we're going to leave your video up, and let's join Amy Hoyt at Gulf Coast Community College.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll go ahead and keep talking.
No.
The stairs being wheeled up now to get secured onto the plane. So the president and the governor.
Let's head out to Amy Hoyt at Gulf Coast Community College. Amy, you're speaking underneath video of President Clinton.
It's hard to hear you out here, Tom. As you can imagine, the excitement is running high. The optimistics are playing in the background as these people anticipate the arrival of the President of the United States. There are Clinton Gore signs for 1996 hanging up. The stage is set. We're just 50 feet away and will be when the President makes his speech. Thousands of people, as you could probably see in the background, folks from all over Bay County, even some that are on vacation, everyone from little children to their moms and dads to the grandparents. It's really an exciting time. It's really an exciting time for everybody out here. The band is warming everybody up. It took a couple of hours for us, the media, just to get in the door. We had to go through all the security checks and make sure that everything was okay. There are security people having the dogs and just doing all the checks. And it took a while to get in here, but it's something you really have to live through to believe. It's just overwhelming. And we'll be back to you a little bit later on now when the President arrives.
Yeah, we will rejoin you just a little bit later on. Let's go back now to Linda. Linda, we see that the limo has been pulled up to the ramp now.
Yeah, the limo's here. The motorcade pretty much lined up. We've got Bay County motorcycle men. We've got several police cars, then 2 limos, and then several vans that will carry Secret Service people and some of President Clinton's staff workers. You can see them lined up. That's Tyndall's honor guard at the foot of the stairway. There's Captain Richard Parrish from the Navy base, Congressman Pete Peterson, Joe Chapman, all waiting in line to greet Mr. Clinton as he comes down those stairs. As I started to tell you earlier, the people, I don't know if you can see them right underneath here in the center of the plane, are all members of the National Press Corps. That's the plane that you had mentioned earlier that flew in prior to Air Force One. Those people were all on that plane. But it would be a tiring job to follow the president around and write stories. That would be a hard beat to cover. And here he comes. The first time a sitting president has visited Tyndall Air Force Base and Bay County. President Clinton making his way, followed by Governor Lawton Chiles. Shaking hands now with the folks that are here to greet him. And now on to Joe Chapman, who's responsible for getting Mr. Clinton to visit. The motorcycles are started.
Yeah, this shouldn't take very long. We expect them to go very quickly into that motorcade and off towards Gulf Coast Community College.
You know, you mentioned earlier that people hoping to get a glimpse should be kind of by the DuPont Bridge, but that's all they will get is a glimpse. We're talking this motorcade is going to travel about 60 to 65 miles an hour. It'll be a fast glimpse. And they're lining up for a photograph now, it appears. And the president waves.
Well, it looks like Congressman Peterson is getting into the limo with him. Is Governor Chiles also in that same car, Linda?
Yeah, they're right here. Can you see them now? They're both getting into the limo.
Yeah, we see President Clinton and Congressman Pete Peterson getting into that car, but
and the governor. Governor's in there too.
Governor Chiles walked out of the frame. I couldn't tell whether he'd gotten in the car with him as well or not.
Yes, he is as well. Now we can see everybody scattering, getting ready to follow, try and keep up. Kind of an interesting sight. First time that we've seen it here, huh? That limo, I'm not sure of what the specific details are on it, but that limo is solid and completely bulletproof. And there goes the motorcade. With the motorcycle policeman way, way down the runway there, getting ready to lead the way, it looks like. All of the other cars falling in line. And a few more to come, it looks like. It appears the president is on his way now to Gulf Coast Community College. where we do have Amy Hoyt standing by, and she will be bringing us up to date. Let us know. We'll carry the President's speech for you. Tom?
Okay, Linda. Well, the first part of the trip is now in the history books. The President is down. Air Force One is at Tyndall Air Force Base, and the President himself on his way to Gulf Coast Community College. Linda, thanks a lot. We'll check back with you, in with you just a little bit later on to get an update on what President Clinton has been doing earlier today in the Orlando area. But first, let's take a quick commercial break, and then we will check back with more of our coverage of the presidential visit to Bay County.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
It's good, I mean good. The steaks are choice and extra thick. We cook them right on our hickory pit. Angelo's Steak Pit. It's good. The service is great, just like the food. You won't get a bum steer here, and that's no bull. Angelo's Steak Pit. It's good.
After one half of football, San Francisco leads New York 540 to 310.
In the future, it won't be just how hard you play, but how good your sports drink works.
Please make your selection.
With a third more carbs in Gatorade and B vitamins to unlock carbohydrate energy. All Sport is not just a thirst quencher. It's a body quencher.
Isn't that new 300-pound ball? Yeah, here you go.
In most stores, when you buy magazines, snacks, greeting cards, pantyhose, and lots of other items, you pay the full package price. But not at Winn-Dixie, where you get a 10 to 50% discount every day. Save 10% every day on chips and snacks. Spices, school supplies, and pantyhose are 20% off, and wrap up savings of 50% on these discount items. Service matters at Winn-Dixie, too, so send in a comment card and tell us how we're doing.
News 13, your news station, WMBB, Panama City, Florida.
Well, welcome back to our live coverage of President Clinton's visit to the Panhandle. The President just touching down at Tyndall Air Force Base within the last 20 minutes or so. His motorcade has departed Tyndall Air Force Base and is on its way to Gulf Coast Community College. And that's where we join David Delliman, who is standing by live there. David, you've spent the last couple of days going over the preparation that all of the different officials here in town have been making on this trip. What's it like out there right now?
Well, right now you can tell the people are very excited out here. It has been 2 days, very busy days, full of preparations out here. People are excited to see the president. It's taken a lot of preparation, everything from the food to the travel arrangements to just finding out where the president's going to speak here. Right now we want to turn it over just for a minute over to Dr. Bob McSpadden, the president of Gulf Coast Community College, who is giving a welcoming speech here.
Good afternoon and welcome to Gulf Coast Community College. My name is Bob McSpadden. It's my privilege to serve as the president of this college. And we thank you for joining us as we welcome President William Jefferson Clinton to the Panhandle of Florida. This is a proud day in the history of our college and in our community. We have always said at Gulf Coast that our campus is the people's space. We enjoy providing a forum for public discussion for visiting speakers. In the past, we've had the opportunity to welcome Ronald Reagan, Hubert Humphrey, Jimmy Carter, and others. President Clinton even visited here when he was governor of Arkansas. But this is the first time in our college's history that we've had a sitting president of the United States visit Gulf Coast Community College, or Panama City for that matter. Somehow I can tell we're going to have fun today. Let me take just a minute to thank everyone who has helped make this visit possible, especially Joe and Jeanette Chapman and Governor Lawton Childs. I want to thank those at the White House, in the governor's office, in our community, and on our campus who have helped prepare for the president's visit. We've been hoping to have President Clinton visit for a long time, but many people had to get busy quickly when the call came in saying, The good news is, Dr. Bob, the President of the United States is coming to Gulf Coast Community College. The bad news is he'll be there day after tomorrow. Well, it takes a large number of people working together to make something like this happen. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, it takes a village. For those of you who do not know, President Clinton has been a strong supporter of community college education. The current legislation he is proposing directly relates to the future of community colleges, and as you can see on the banner behind, he sees our role as bridging to the future. It is my privilege at this time to introduce you to the fellow who will conduct the program until the arrival of the President. His name is Mr. Jimmy Barr. He is a former Bay County Democratic Party chairman. He is a Clinton delegate. He is a longtime friend of the President of the United States, who is currently getting an update as to where the motorcade is. So would you now please join me as we welcome your host for the program until the arrival of the Governor and the President, Mr. Jimmy Barr.
Thank you, Bob. When they asked me yesterday to come in and warm up the crowd before Bill Clinton came, I never knew how easy it was going to be today. Anybody warm out there? I'm doing my job then. I'm a success. Glad they didn't say cool up the crowd. That would have been a little more difficult. Like Bob said, what happened to us this week since Monday afternoon when we got the call Labor Day that the President might be coming here on Friday, we have been working diligently, and this kind of an event cannot happen just because Joe Chapman tried for months to get him here. Can't happen just because Bob McSpadden has worked now for 48 hours to make Gulf Coast the most cooperative community college anywhere in Florida. It can't happen because a few of us on an organizing committee works night and day for 48 hours to put it together. What happened in the last 48 hours speaks again about what happened.
Welcoming the people here. The crowd is still filing in. We are expecting somewhere at least over 1,000 people just in this gymnasium here. We're a rather small gymnasium, but people are crowding in here little by little. They expect to try to get this crowd in here, and people are already holding up their Clinton Gore signs, very excited. What he said he's doing at this point is warming up the crowd. You heard Dr. Bob McSpadden give a brief little welcome, and now Jimmy Barr is giving his welcoming address, just really warming up the crowd, getting this crowd really psyched to hear the President. Tom?
All right, David, I understand that there's more to come from the podium, so I think we're going to head back that direction and hear what Jimmy Barr has to say.
15. We've got 75 people running around being ushers, taking up tickets, handing out water, and doing other things because Bay County does that every time we need something done. Isn't it a great place to live? We've got Bill Clinton coming here because he knows that, because over the last 2 years, 3 years, he's been talking to Joe Chapman about coming here, knows it's important to Florida, knows that for him to win Florida, he's got to win West Florida, Northwest Florida. He only lost Florida by 100,000 votes last time. In '92, only 100,000 votes. He's going to do that this time, and we're going to send him back for how many more years? Okay, 4 more years. Anybody here now ready to see Bill Clinton? Who's ready? Okay, that was Joe on the phone just a minute ago whenever I was taking a call up here when Dr. McSpadden was talking. They have rolled. They're on the way. They should be here at 6:45. They're on schedule. So, 4:45. 4:45. They'll be here at 4:45. President Clinton is scheduled to be out here with the governor and with Dawn Roberts at 5 o'clock. It's going to be very exciting. I don't know if I want to go back to the band. Let's go back to the band for about 5 more minutes. I'm supposed to get a call upon arrival here, so I'll come back. I do need to make one announcement, though. Everyone who is in the bleachers, you need to slide to your right, all the way down this way as far as you can. We have some elderly people and some infirm folks who need to get into the bleachers who are coming in. and they're unable to stand for the next hour.
All right, there you go. You hear the preparations going on, and it sounds like that crowd is warmed up and ready for Bill Clinton's arrival, and so are we. Stay right here with News 13. We'll have more complete coverage, live coverage of President Clinton's visit here to the Panhandle.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
Okay, you're the ketchup boy. When you see a burger, you squirt the burgers. Ketchup, burgers. Any questions?
Do I ever make it without ketchup?
At Sonic, we make it any way you want it. Like our made-to-order Sonic Burger and one of our old-fashioned shakes right now just $1.99. So break away from the ordinary and drive into Sonic.
Sonic, driving for a change.
Got no shirt, got no shoes, got no coat, so got me the blues. Yeah, I got no shades.
Hey! That's 'cause you got no Pepsi.
Now the more Pepsi you drink, the more stuff you get from the new Pepsi catalog.
Got no mansion, got no yacht.
This might be the end of the blues as we know it.
Drink a lot of Pepsi, get a lot of stuff.
In most stores, when you buy magazines, snacks, greeting cards, pantyhose, and lots of other items, you pay the full package price. But not at Winn-Dixie, where you get a 10 to 50% discount every day. Save 10% every day on chips and snacks. Spices, school supplies, and pantyhose are 20% off. And wrap up savings of 50% on these discount items. Service matters at Winn-Dixie, too, so send in a comment card and tell us how we're doing.
We all grew up with Shoney's. For 40 years, they've been serving folks pot roast, country fried steak, and hot vegetables. Shoney's calls it classic American food, but I can sum it up in one word. Well, 2 words. Come try Shoney's Classic Seafood Bar. All your classic seafood favorites. Baked fish, bite-sized shrimp, stuffed crab, all the trimmings. All you care to eat, weekends at Shoney's. Sure beats carrying a fishing pole.
Well, welcome back to our live coverage of President Clinton's visit to Bay County. As you can see, traffic starting to back up a little bit as we look down towards Harrison Avenue. Traffic being blocked off at 15th Street. Tyndall Parkway is the apparent route that the president is taking to Gulf Coast Community College, and we understand he should be arriving at Gulf Coast within the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. And of course, we will hopefully be there for his arrival with our live coverage. What is President Clinton seeing as he drives down Tyndall Parkway? Well, we sent Denise Menard out today to find out, and here's what she found.
Flags are waving and red, white, and blue ribbons are being tied, all for a good reason. The president's coming to town.
The president's never come this part of Florida, I don't believe.
As President Clinton drives down Tyndall Parkway, he'll be seeing signs just like this welcoming him to Panama City.
As for Bay County, I hope he comes through and see that, all the Democrats for the Bay County area, are supporting him.
Did you know the president's coming into town today?
Yes.
Do you know you got the best seat in the house?
Yes. So far as it stands, I'm more of a Dole supporter, but it's nice to see the president come to town and see our city participate in his welcome and encourage them to come back.
And when the commander-in-chief comes to town, every detail matters.
I mean, we're going to do the best job we can.
Make everything look pretty?
Make it look pretty.
The president will come down Tyndall Parkway through Parker and then Callaway. But when he gets to the fork in the road where the choice is Business 98 or regular 98, which route he'll take from there, only the Secret Service knows. I'm Denise Menard with the News 13.
And apparently he has made his choice. He's headed up regular Highway 98, as Denise put it. Let's rejoin David Delleman. David, there's a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, the things like flags, banners, stages, media hookups, air conditioning, so many things go into this, but there's also some planning that goes into this visit, things that they hope they never have to use.
That's right, Tom. Along with all the planning that you would expect as far as getting the media set up, getting the president set up, there's always the unfortunate possibility that something could happen to the president, and that means we need to use our local emergency facilities here in Bay County. Earlier today, we got a chance to talk with some of our emergency officials on exactly how they would handle a situation if something were to happen to the president. This is one sound the president's staff is hoping they won't hear on their trip to Panama City. We don't like to think about a tragedy happening, but it's still something that has to be planned out.
We work very closely with the president's medical staff along with the Secret Service to provide medical protection while he's here, and also medical protection out at the college for the spectators.
Several ambulances are at Gulf Coast Community College for audience members, and this critical care unit will be on standby for the president. If something unfortunate occurs, Mr. Clinton will be taken to Bay Medical Center.
We were requested to have available a general surgeon and a cardiothoracic surgeon, and we've talked to those surgeons, and they're going to make themselves available this afternoon.
The hospital is also setting aside a fully staffed operating room.
That's the main thing they're concerned about is a traumatic injury to the president. So they look for the hospital that does the highest volume of difficult trauma procedures, and that would be us.
Obviously, one of the things you do have to prepare for, no one wants the president to get hurt. They don't want to think about those kind of things, but you do have to plan ahead just in case something like that does happen. Back to you, Tom.
All right, David, thanks for your report. And of course, stand by. There's a whole lot more activity going on out there that we'll want you to tell us about. David Dellerman reporting live from the Gulf Coast Community College Gymnasium, where President Clinton is about to arrive on his trip to the Panhandle. We'll be back in just a moment with more coverage.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
After one half of football, San Francisco leads New York 540 to 310.
In the future, it won't be just how hard you play, but how good your sports drink works.
Please make your selection.
With a third more carbs in Gatorade and B vitamins to unlock carbohydrate energy. All Sport is not just a thirst quencher. It's a body quencher.
Isn't that new 300-pound ball?
Yeah, here you go.
If you think KFC just serves the Colonel's original recipe chicken, think again. There's plump, juicy Tyndall roast, our new roasted chicken served in pieces, and the Colonel's crispy strips freshly prepared all day. At KFC, our menu is getting so big you might need a bigger table.
Everybody needs a little KFC.
Now fill your plate with 2 pieces of new Tyndall roast or 3 Colonel's crispy strips, plus mashed potatoes, gravy, coleslaw, and a biscuit at a special September price, just $2.99.
Hi, I'm Dixie Carter, and this little house I just bought on the Tennessee River is my idea of a fixer-upper. And I'd like to invite you in on the renovation to see what one strong-willed woman can do with one old, dependable friend, the Bell South Yellow Pages. And just look at all the stuff I'm going to need. Well, I'll catch up with you once I find the right contractor. Yes, hello. I saw your ad in the Bell South Yellow Pages.
Not long ago, 2 Hardee's employees were making a trip when, in a moment of inspiration, it hit them.
A bacon cheeseburger with a mesquite taste.
As they continued, inspiration struck again.
Double cheeseburger.
You won't find a quarter-pound double cheeseburger this good for just 99 cents. And a mesquite burger with a delicious smoky taste, it's only at Hardee's and also only 99 cents.
Huh?
Welcome back to our live coverage of President Clinton's visit to the Bay County, Panama City area. I'm Tom Lewis, live in our News 13 studios, where we have the comfort and the ease of watching all of this on television, as you are apparently at home. About 2,000 people were lucky enough, though, to get tickets to go to Gulf Coast Community College today and see President Clinton. Now, for those of you who are at home watching this on television, you may think, hey, News 13 must be the only game in town. Well, it's not necessarily true, because as you saw with Linda Powell there at Tyndall Air Force Base, the president travels with a huge entourage of national media, and the preparations for those folks at Gulf Coast Community College, as well as all the other people that need to be taken care of with this presidential visit, is quite an undertaking. Amy Gunham brings us up to date.
Workers sort out the last-minute details, checking the sound system, building the backdrop, and tightening security. They're hitting rush hour as it gets closer and closer to the president's visit.
In 72 hours, we will have accomplished what normally people do in a week or two. And the comments from staff have been all positive. They wish we had more people to help them, but, you know, we're doing the best we can, and they're doing the best they can.
They're installing portable air conditioners in the gym to make the masses comfortable, and bottled water is also on hand for those who need it. This girl couldn't get tickets for the big event, so she's making signs, and in turn, she gets to see Mr. Clinton.
We had run out of tickets to watch him on the TV, and we didn't get any of those, and so they told us if we helped out in here, we could sit in and watch.
And wherever the president goes, you can expect a media entourage. CNN was busy setting up this morning, as well as the local media, getting ready for the primetime trip. All this as Panama City becomes the spotlight of the political world, even if only for a short time. Amy Gunham, News 13.
And Amy Hoyt now joining us live from Gulf Coast Community College. Amy, does it feel like you're under a spotlight out there? I think it's pretty hot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Are you saying, is it hot?
Yeah.
Yes, it is kind of warm. Actually, they brought in some kind of portable trucks, and they're actually pumping air conditioning in here, so it's not too bad. We're not roasting like it's 95 degrees, but it is getting a little warm. They had to make the crowd move forward so that they could bring more people in, I guess, who had tickets in the back, so everybody's kind of on top of each other like sardines. I don't know if you can see behind me, but during the program, they're bringing all the local Democratic candidates up on the stage here to introduce them to the audience and taking a few moments to have a little fun while we wait for the president to arrive. We were talking about the media before. There's media from all over the state and around the country, including the networks. We're going to be talking with a fellow from ABC if we get a chance a little bit later on. He's on his way up to talk to us at the moment, but he hasn't arrived yet. There's kind of a lot of people to squish through to get to us, but we are waiting for the president, and it should be just moments away.
Amy, to update you and our staff out there, we understand that the motorcycle law enforcement officers here locally are moving the traffic off of westbound 98 as quickly as possible. They're pushing that traffic off into available parking lots up and down 98. And the president, as we understand, is crossing Harrison Avenue and 15th Street right now.
He's passing
Harrison and 15th Street, right.
All right.
So he's probably still a good 5 to 6, 7 minutes away from there at Gulf Coast Community College, but sounds like there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on here. They're doing the Macarena. They're going to get into all of this, and I'm sure they'll be glad to know that the president's that close. Tom?
Well, Amy, I think there's too many people in there for them to be doing the Macarena.
I'm not sure what they're doing. They've got the Democratic candidates up on the stage doing it, the local Democratic candidates, and the audience is going wild, as you can absolutely imagine. Is Jerry King here? They're telling me that the ABC correspondent is here. Tom, do we have a moment to speak with him?
Sure, let's go, yeah.
All right, we'll bring him on up here. Hi, we're on the air.
Hi.
How are you, Jerry? My name is Amy Hoyt. Tell our audience at home what it's like to follow a presidential tour.
Well, it's tiring. We get up, yesterday morning, for example, I was up at 3 a.m. This morning about 7, the morning before, yesterday 5. The days go on. It's just very interesting, though.
Have you been doing this for a long time?
I've been doing it for about 2 years now. Basically, I work for the weekend folks, but I get involved depending on the situations and how much travel he does and where he goes.
Okay, give us an idea what it's like. Are you on the plane with the president? Are you on your own plane?
Well, it depends. The 4 networks, as they are now, rotate with being the so-called tight pool of the day. One network represents all the others and stays with the president at all times. The others travel in what they call an expanded pool. They see the president here, they see the president there, they travel here and there, but they're not always with him. So we divide up and we travel around independently of him, and we travel with him. It all depends. So sometimes, if we're at the White House, for example, we can be there all day and never see the man.
Have you ever had a one-on-one conversation with him?
I have not. I've had one-on-one private conversations with him, not a sit-down interview with him, but we've had private things on vacations, for example, with him, which I was lucky enough to go to the Wyoming vacation last year. It was just great. you get a chance to talk to he and the First Lady one-on-one at times like that.
That sounds so exciting. I mean, is it?
Well, let's face it, it's always nice to be where the center of things happening, and in the Western world, what's happening is the President of the United States, or at least Washington, and it is nice and interesting to travel. The unfortunate part of it is, for example, we've been in Florida for 2 days now. I've seen nothing but the inside of halls like this. This is my view of Florida, this in hotel rooms.
Is this the first time you've been to Panama City?
I was actually here about 3 weeks ago traveling through. I wanted to take a look at Seaside and some of the architecture at Seaside, so I drove along the coast and took a look at Seaside, then stayed overnight there and spent a couple. So I've been here before and just very recently.
Well, very good. Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you. We do thank you for stopping by and saying hi to us.
Thank you. I wish you luck.
All right, Jerry King, our ABC news correspondent for the network. Pretty neat, huh, Tom?
Yeah, very interesting life for those network folks. They keep one bag packed by the front door at all times so they can go at a moment's notice. And it's interesting that Jerry King had already heard about Seaside.
I'm having the worst time hearing you, Tom. It's unfortunate. I'm sorry. They're warming the crowd up again. Jimmy Barr's at the podium, and the audience is just getting wild.
I'll tell you what, Amy, we're going to try and fit in one more commercial break before President Clinton arrives, and we will do that right now. We will be rejoining Amy Hoyt in just a few moments at Gulf Coast Community College. But first, this commercial break.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
Okay, you're the ketchup boy. When you see a burger, you squirt the burger. Ketchup, burger. Any questions?
Do I ever make it without ketchup?
At Sonic, we make it any way you want it. Like our made-to-order Sonic Burger and one of our old-fashioned shakes right now just $1.99. So break away from the ordinary and drive into Sonic.
Sonic, driving for a change.
Hey, I'm at Food World, and Food World wants to make your shopping easier and save you money. Look at this. All 2-liter soft drinks are 25% off.
What?
I'm not kidding you. And sweet, juicy white seedless grapes are 79 cents a pound.
Cool. That is cheap.
Yes, it is. And all frozen pizza 6.4 to 28-ounce packages are 25% off.
Terrific.
You've got that right. So if you're short on time and you want to save money, this is the place to be. Food World. Price is good through September 10th. See store for limits.
If you think KFC just served the Colonel's original recipe chicken, think again. There's plump, juicy Tyndall roast, our new roasted chicken served in pieces, and the Colonel's crispy strips freshly prepared all day. At KFC, our menu is getting so big you might need a bigger table.
Everybody needs a little KFC.
Now fill your plate with 2 pieces of new Tyndall roast or 3 Colonel's crispy strips, plus mashed potatoes, gravy, coleslaw, and a biscuit at a special September price, just $2.99.
No matter how high the thermometer climbs or how sticky the humidity gets, nothing will be hotter this summer than the deals you'll get during Jeep Summer Days, where you can get up to $1,150 in option package values on Jeep Grand Cherokee, values over $1,800 on Jeep Cherokee Sport, including no-charge air, and deals that are truly steamy on the all-new Jeep Wrangler. But you'd better hurry in, because deals this incredibly hot are bound to cool down fast.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer today.
News 13, your news station, WMBB, Panama City, Florida.
Welcome back to our live coverage of President Bill Clinton's visit to Panama City. Let's go back out to Gulf Coast Community College and Amy Hoyt. Amy, the president's close, I understand.
How close is he, Tom?
I understand he is close to you at this point.
Is he? Okay, well, they haven't said that yet. They're letting the band finish playing as they continue to talk to the crowd. They've gotten down off the stage, though, so I'm guessing that he's getting closer. The former head of our local Democratic Party, Jimmy Barr's been on the cell phone constantly, apparently in contact with someone in the car, but he hasn't gotten back up yet to tell them how close he's getting. I think they're going to let the band finish. But, you know, it's just such an exciting time out here. It's so overwhelming. I really didn't even expect it to be this way. You know, a lot of people have talked about the fact that, well, he is the president, and whether you agree with his views or not, he's still the president of the United States, and you really can't help but to feel that way when you're in the middle of it. I mean, he's the leader of the free world, and we're really looking forward to him coming to speak to us. We're just waiting.
Amy, what sort of people are out there tonight?
Well, there's a lot of people out here. There's some that I recognize. There are folks that you and I have interviewed over the years, and then there are the residents of Bay County. There's even people who are on vacation, from what I understand, who happen to be on the beach and had the opportunity to go get a ticket. A lot of children, a lot of grandparents, some folks in wheelchairs. They've set aside a special place for them so they can get right up front and hear the president. There's just everybody out here from all walks of life. It's great.
Have they managed to get most of those people inside now?
Yeah, I'm looking behind me. They've scrunched them up just about as far as they're going to go. It looks like they're getting ready to close the door at the back of the gymnasium. As you know, Tom, you and I graduated from Gulf Coast, and although the college and the campus has grown, Billy Harrison Health Center is pretty much the same. It's a regular-sized gymnasium, and only half of the bleachers on the right side of the room to my right have been pulled out for people to sit. And Dr. Bob McSpadden had told us last night that that seats about 600 people. And if you've got 2,000 plus folks in here, say the majority of them are standing, but I'm guessing that they really don't care. They're fanning themselves with the Clinton war signs, and they're chanting 4 more years, and they're just waiting for this very precious moment.
Amy, I'm gonna let folks at home kind of understand how we are covering this. Now, we were asked by Gulf Coast Community College to provide what's called pool coverage with 3 cameras inside of the gymnasium. And I understand, and everyone should probably understand this as well, we are providing the signal for that overflow crowd that is not able to get into the gymnasium.
That's correct. There are a lot of people around the campus in the student union, and I think in some of the classrooms, I'm not sure about that, and they'll be able to see it on the closed circuit television. Of course, all the cameras in here, including us, providing that coverage to them as well. But is that what you asked me? I had a little trouble hearing.
Yeah, basically we are providing that signal. News 13 is providing that signal for all those classrooms, as well as the local cable companies who are also carrying this live on the Gulf Coast Community College Access channel. And then, of course, there is the pool video, which is most of the networks, right?
Right, that's my understanding.
And where are they set up from where you are?
Yes. Oh, well, actually, no. The media is where the doors are, where everybody came in. The majority of the media is there. Of course, we have a couple of cameras scattered around. We're actually closest to the president with the camera that we're on right here. We're only about 50 feet away. There is newspaper photographers here with us and some other folks from around the state. The majority of the media is at the back of the room. They'll be opposite the president's podium. So we're actually really right on top of him here.
So you've got the best seat in the house.
Yeah, actually I do. I don't know how we manage that, but I'm pretty happy about it, and so is David Delleman.
Oh, that is wonderful. Stand in there with us. When it appears that they're going to go to the podium, we will rejoin the podium activity. It sounds like the band is striking up another song, though, now, aren't they?
All right, Tom, I still have trouble. Every time the band strikes up, they're also got a front row seat right next to us, so it's hard to hear. I do see Jimmy Barr on the telephone, so I'm guessing he's talking to the motorcade, and we're waiting for him to step up to the mic and tell us just how far the president is. He could be in the parking lot for all we know.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We're going to try and squeeze in one more commercial break then and wait for President Clinton's arrival. Thanks, Amy. Stand by. Amy Hoyt, they're live at Gulf Coast Community College, where the president is about to arrive at any minute. We'll be back in just a moment with more of the president's visit.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
Out here, we have 4 times the fun. No wonder we get 4 times as hungry. Good thing it's 4 for $5 time at Arby's. 4 mouth-watering Arby's beef and cheddars for just $5. 4 helpings of slow roasted beef, a tangy cheddar cheese sauce, and our own red ranch sauce, all on a toasted onion roll. But it won't last long, so you'd better go for it. When we say it's better out here, this is what we mean. 4 Arby's beef and cheddars for just $5.
Well, welcome back to our live coverage of President Bill Clinton's visit to Bay County. Let's go back out live to Gulf Coast. Amy, is the president there yet?
No, he's not there yet, but everybody's looking toward the back door there. They just put the presidential seal up on the podium, so I'm guessing that means we're getting closer. I have my eye on Jimmy Barr, and I see him staring at the door, and I see all the security guards up over there, but I don't know how close we're getting. He's about to step up to the podium. Let's see, Tom, if we can hear him.
Okay, let's rejoin the podium then.
He's here.
Before he can come out, though, we need your cooperation. The people sitting in the front rows over here are suffocating. We need everyone to take a step or two, and let's move the crowd as much as we can this way. Move away from. We have a couple. Well, these are elderly people and a couple of pregnant ladies along the front row over here who can no longer breathe. If you can, move a step or two this way. Thank you for your cooperation. It will be momentarily now, and the president will be out. Thanks again for all your cooperation.
All right, Tom, did you hear that? They're actually having to move people over because the folks on the bottom row in the bleachers are getting suffocated. As you can imagine, there's a lot of people in here, and everybody's excited. They say that he's here. He's arrived at the parking lot. He's obviously not in the building yet. We are waiting as they chant 4 more years, waiting for the arrival of the President of the United States. It's kind of hard to believe, Tom, as an alumni of Gulf Coast Community College, I never thought some 15 or 17 years ago, whatever it is now, that I'd be back here as a journalist having the opportunity to see the President. It's quite exciting.
It is a rare opportunity for local journalists to be able to cover a presidential visit, and as you said earlier, whether you are a Democrat, Republican, a Clinton supporter, or a non-supporter, he is still the president, and the trappings that go with the office and all of the planning and whatnot that goes with a visit, you can't help but get caught up in it.
Tom, they're getting the doors ready, and I see that the initial entourage has stepped in to stand where the crowd is closest, those folks who are standing up against the railings that have been set up, the red, white, blue railings. Actually, Tom, they're starting to come in. They're letting the media that comes with the president come in the doors now. They get to come in and set up. Of course, they travel with him, as we heard from Jerry King, our ABC News correspondent, a little while ago. A gentleman at the podium, testing the podium. This is so new to us. I'm sure that it's not new to them or to national media that follow the president or get to do large events like this. But this is something, and you're going to see people come and go behind me. I'm going to have to get out of the way because the media from around the country is just going to barrel me over, and I'm on top of a very high table here, and I don't want to go crashing to the ground. But it's getting close. It's really getting close. It's amazing to see all these people. I mean, we're talking about newspaper, radio, television from all over the country, from around the state. Of course, a lot of these people have been traveling with him. As you know, he's been in Florida for 2 days now. So they look a little peaked and a little tired, and they're not going to be kind to me. They're just going to shove me out of the way. So you're going to have to bear with me, but I can understand it. And with the lights on now, it's been a while. It is starting to heat up a little bit more than it was before. Plus, the doors are opening so that artificial air conditioning that they pumped in is going outside. But there's not a whole lot you can do about that. 2 double doors at the back on both sides of the stage that's set up. The backdrop that says President Clinton and community colleges building a bridge to the 21st century. That's the backdrop that will be behind him as he speaks. They're chanting 4 more years. And people are just filing in. It's quite an entourage. It's kind of hard to believe that so many people are coming in. It's a sight. We may never get the opportunity to do this again here in Bay County. Tom?
Well, hopefully this won't be the last time. This is the first time, though, and again, a remarkable job that Gulf Coast Community College and Dr. Bob McSpadden have done to pull this off in literally 72 hours' notice.
It is. Dr. Bob McSpadden did get up on the stage earlier and thank everybody. And, of course, they're very pleased with him. In 2 days, as you know, we didn't get notice till a couple of days ago that this was going to take place here. And the college folks just, in the blink of an eye, they had this gymnasium turned into a wonderful decorated rally place to be. I'm sorry that I'm hesitating, but every time I hear somebody scream, I'm afraid he's going to walk in, and I certainly don't want to miss the entrance, as I know everybody at home is anxious to wait as well.
Well, we have
I hear it.
We have the camera trained on that door, so, well, we just cut to a wider shot, but we do have the camera on that door there.
All right,
where
very good.
we think the president is going to enter.
I'm sorry, Tom, say it again?
I said we do have the camera shot of the door where we believe the president is going to enter, so we should be able to pick him up as he does enter the gymnasium.
All right, very good. You might as well keep it there because I think that it's getting close. You know, it's the hurry up and wait situation. So many signs. They got a lot of signs up. Oh, and there's the song that the Optimistic started with earlier in the day. In the mood. They're going to put everybody in the mood when this gentleman steps through the doors. And I think that suffice it to say, they were in the mood a few hours ago. They've been standing a long time. But it's a history-making moment for the folks of Bay County and Northwest Florida. It's our pleasure to bring it to them live, too, and to let everyone have the opportunity to see this. I guess you can see the signs, Tom, up and down. They got a lot of homemade signs, too. It says, I see one across the room says, Bay County loves Clinton. I see homemade Clinton Gore signs. I see another one down here in front of me that says, American by birth, Democrat by choice. I see a Clinton Gore sign that says the Brady Bill, 1996. Some businesses have their signs up, too, welcoming the president to this part of the state and to Panama City. Even the media has stopped. Everybody's just standing dead in their tracks. The Secret Service setting things up and making sure it's all safe.
Now, there seems to be a lot of activity right there by that door right now.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, I think the media, the national media, came in the door we're at and got with us here and across the way that you're apparently looking at. I don't have a monitor, but apparently that's where they will bring him in to the gymnasium. It's gotten kind of quiet. When the band settles down, it gets so quiet, but I'm sure they're going to continue to play until he walks in. It's incredible, the Secret Service. Everybody has, you know, we wear the little earpiece in our ear with a telephone cord attached, what we call an IFB, the earpiece that we use as news anchors. And there's so many people that you see that have those in their ear, and of course those are the Secret Servicemen. And it's just kind of amazing to see the job that they do. I mean, they don't even smile at you. They are, you know, they're here for business. This is what they do for a living, to make sure things are smooth and safe for the president. And it's just amazing to watch them. It's kind of a neat thing. It's quite unusual to watch them, how they look at the people. I'm sure there are obviously some special training and they look for certain things, even though we've all been through the metal detectors and have been basically almost frisked. They went through the pocketbooks, they went through the camera equipment and any pockets or paper that we had.
Amy, we just saw Raymond Powell, who is...
all right, there's someone entering the stage. I'm sorry, Tom.
Okay, I was just going to say, we just saw Raymond Powell come out of that door. Raymond Powell is the president of People's First Community Bank and a very close friend and employee of Joe Chapman's, who set this trip up. We just saw Joe Chapman there. It appears as though the president is very close because
I'm sure he's in the
some of the people who were with him at the airport at Tyndall Air Force Base we now see at the building. And there's hail to the chief.
Here we go, Tom. I believe he's entering the room. Maybe not. A false start. Here you go, Tom. You heard it. The President of the United States, Mr. Bill Clinton.
Mr. President, welcome to Panama City. Mr. President, you're now in the heartland of Florida. I want to take just a moment to recognize the strong Northwest Florida Democratic team. Running for Congress in District 1, Kevin Beck. District 2, Alan Boyd and Anita Davis. And serving in the Florida Senate, Senator Pat Thomas. Candidate for the Florida Senate from Panama City, Beef Haydad. From Pensacola, and from Pensacola, Willie Farrell. Buzz Ritchie was with us in Orlando to be our next speaker. From Panama City, we have Representative Scott Clements and Panhandle's own Robert Trammell and Doc Peden. We have House candidates from District 4, F.L. Henderson, from District 7, David Warner, and Jamie Westbrook. This is a hell of a team, and we want to support them, all of you. We know that Joe Chapman had a lot to do with setting up this visit. And more than that, we know that Joe learned a lot from his mama, Gladys Chapman. Mr. President, Miss Gladys was the first woman supervisor of elections that Florida ever had, and she's served since that time. She's the longest serving supervisor of elections that we've ever had. Miss Democrat from Florida, Gladys Chapman. Mr. President, a lot of people are wondering why you came to Panama City. Let me tell you something. You remember, Mr. President, Elijah was one time complaining to the Lord that there was some defections from some of the Jewish people, and the Lord reminded him that he kept 7,000 men that had never bowed their knee to Baal. This is the remnant here in Panama City, the remnant that we're going to build a democratic victory from. These are the Democrats, Mr. President, that decided they'd rather fight than switch. Just like you did when you were governor of Arkansas and you helped start the Democratic Leadership Council to move the Democratic Party back to the middle. It's back to the middle. It now represents, through the Clinton leadership, middle America, a strong defense, good education, looking after family. Those are the things that the party stands for, and Bill Clinton is the person that's led us in that direction. He's been committed, you got it, he's been committed to strengthening education, protecting our military bases, our jobs, and safeguarding our environment. And he knows education is the key. We sit in one of the premier community colleges of Florida, a college that provides that kind of high-tech, high-job leadership that carries us forward. And we know that under Clinton Gore, we're going to increase educational opportunity. We have a strategic choice to make in November. That choice is whether we're going to go forward and build this bridge to the 21st century, or whether we're going to make an abrupt U-turn and return to the old politics of yesterday. We remember that Dole and Gingrich wanted to slash Title I of our education programs that serve 35,500 needy school children in Florida. President Clinton said no. We know that Dole and Gingrich wanted to cut education reform efforts in 770 Florida schools. The president said no. The Dole-Gingrich team wanted to eliminate Pell Grants for 16,000 students this year alone. The president got that veto pen out and said, N-O, no! So when Dole and Gingrich ask for their vote, just say no. We say yes to President Clinton. Yes to protecting our children's education. Yes to protecting our bases. Yes to standing with a president that stood with protecting Tyndall Air Force Base and other military installations in this region. Mr. President, you are on the shore of the most beautiful beaches in America. And with your help, we ain't gonna see any oil rigs off of those beaches either. We have a president who will stand up to the big oil companies who threaten to spoil our natural environment. A president that understands that we have to have clean air and clean water and a clean coastline. And that's why, for our environment's sake, our children's sake, we have to have a clean House and a clean Senate. I know this fella from Arkansas, and I can tell you he knows how to speak cracker. I want to introduce our great congressman, our soon-to-be Ambassador Pete Peterson.
Boy, I always hate to follow our great Governor Lawton Childs. He's a tough act to follow, and I just wish that this thing was expanded to about 10,000 capacity. We would have them overflowing for this great president behind me today. Mr. President, what a great honor it is for me to represent 2nd Congressional District and welcoming you to this beautiful part of the state of Florida. I know very well how hectic your schedule has been, and I want to thank you personally for taking time out, and I know you personally made this decision to come here to be with us, the home of the very, very most beautiful beaches in the entire world. It is particularly appropriate that we meet here at Gulf Coast Community College, given the fact that you just have said that what we must do is expand universal education to a full 2-year college education as well. To the credit of our great Governor Lawton Childs and a lot of other educational leaders throughout the state of Florida, we have established and we have funded good, outstanding, that is, junior colleges and community colleges throughout the Florida, which are, in fact, are the best in the United States. Clearly, you have recognized the logical imperative, Mr. President. The key to maintaining the U.S. competitive edge in the world markets in the 21st century is a highly educated workforce. Through your efforts, you are teaching America that if you condition your mind, you will never be poor. Thank you for your leadership, particularly in the field of education. You're right on target and indeed the man to lead us into the 21st century. On a personal note, Mr. President, I'm very proud to have had the opportunity to work with you for the last 4 years, and I appreciate very much the confidence you've placed in me in nominating me to be the first ambassador, first American ambassador to the People's Republic of Vietnam. I look forward to that posting and working closely with you to build the framework of a constructive bilateral relationship between our two countries. And now, Mr. President, allow me to introduce you a very remarkable woman. The person that I'm going to introduce you today epitomizes the very goals and challenges that you've set forth for all of us to meet. Dawn Roberts, who stands behind me, is a truly dynamic woman who understands that learning is a lifelong pursuit. She has taken advantage of this particular superior organization and institution to continue her education in what we call now non-traditional time. She's already raised a very wonderful family, and something very dear to me, she's fought the battle and won the battle against cancer. Dawn has a passion Dawn has a passion for services and dedicated to helping future generations. She's a leader on this campus. She now serves as president of the Student Activities Board, is the former president of the Disabled Students Association. She constantly challenges the status quo. And so, in so doing, she challenges all of us to meet the goals of which we are so inspired with the president. She's a great asset to Gulf Coast Junior College and to our community. Mr. President, let me introduce you to Dawn Roberts.
Hey. When I was asked to give the introduction for President Clinton, I was very honored but concerned as how we could let the President know how proud we are to be Americans. The ending of the word American, I can, describes me, our students, disabled students, and our community, with the help of the word democracy. Democracy, to me, has many meanings. The word democracy means diverse, equally, mutual, opportunity, challenge, rewarding, altruism, caring, and you. Each and every one of you make up our democracy. Altruism is the concern for welfare of others. This describes why I chose the field that I chose, which is social work, my major. Through the assistance of the federal government in the way of Pell Grants and through offices like vocational rehabilitation, I have had the opportunity to re-enter the educational institutions within my area to fulfill my dreams and aspirations. Having learned at a young age from my father, who was in law enforcement, the importance of our political system, which creates our laws to assist and protect us, conditioned me for many challenges I would face in my life. Family values and hard work enable me to overcome many of life's hurdles, like cancer. Thank you. The realization that I could no longer work at the job while in treatment and having to face a disability presented the opportunity to diversify my life through education and community involvement. Education is the most rewarding and fulfilling challenge I have ever faced. It reaches the inner depths of our soul and fills every fiber of our being with knowledge. It generates the tools needed to stabilize the backbone of society. It produces the future of our generations to come and promotes a sense of unity in our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Gulf Coast Community College and the Student Activities Board, I would like to present mine and your President of the United States, William Jackson Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you, and bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow. Well, on the way up here, Governor Childs told me that, can you hear? We lost our sound. Can you hear me in the back? I'll just speak up. There it is. On the way up here, Governor Childs told me that as nearly as they could determine, I am the first sitting president ever to come to Panama City. Based on what I saw along the road coming in and the reception you've given us, I'd say the others don't know what they were missing. I'm glad to be here. Thank you. I'd like to thank President McSpadden and all the others here at the community college for making me feel so welcome. I'd like to thank these excellent young musicians who played for us, called the Optimistics. They were great, weren't they? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Dawn, for the power of your example and for your fine introduction, but mostly because you embody what the American dream is all about and the role of education in the American dream. I know all of you here who are students must have been very proud when Dawn Roberts was up here speaking, but I was proud just to be an American to know that we have people like this and that there are opportunities like this school has given her to make the most of her own lives. I'd like to thank all the military people who serve our country who live in this area. And I'd like to thank all the people who work for Sallie Mae here, who work so hard to make college education affordable. I want to thank Governor Lawton Childs for being my friend of many years and for what he said today. A lot of people say, well, why are you going up there? They never vote for Democrats. And I said, well, I remember when Lawton Childs ran for governor in 1994, and the Republicans said it was their year and that people of Florida would never reelect him. He kept coming up here and saying that he was going to remind everybody that the he-coon walked just before the light of dawn, and I figured if I came up here, maybe I could find myself a he-coon. So I'm looking around trying to find one. I thought I had personally used every down-home expression known to man until he said that. And I'm still learning things from Lawton Childs after all these years. I want to say a special word of thanks and honor to your retiring Congressman Pete Peterson. He has, as all of you know, he has served his country magnificently and at great sacrifice to himself and his family for a very long time. And I honor him, and I was honored to be able to nominate him to be our nation's first ambassador to Vietnam since the end of the Vietnam War. He will be terrific at it. Now, in order for me to see his nomination through, I have to get my contract renewed, but if I do, that's a campaign commitment you can put in the bank. He will be the next ambassador to Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, it's hot in here, and I'm proud you came to see me. And most of what I have to say is preaching to the saved. I realize that. But I want to emphasize to you why we are here. Not in Panama City, but why we are here at this community college, because I believe America ought to work the way the community colleges in America work. I believe they are the ultimate democratic institution, small d, open to everybody, where everybody has a chance, results-oriented, flexible, not bureaucratic, working in partnership with the private sector, guaranteeing opportunity for everybody who's responsible enough to seek it. This is the way America ought to work, and this is what I have tried to work on for 4 years as president. I was sick and tired of seeing Washington politics dominated by hot air, negative charges, and I sought to bring an end to the politics of who's to blame and to substitute for that, what are we going to do to make America a better place? I think it's plain that America is on the right track to the 21st century. We got some more information today. Last month, our economy created another 250,000 jobs. Our unemployment rate, as a nation, our unemployment rate dropped to 5.1%, the lowest in 7.5 years. Wages are going up again for the first time in a decade. We have record numbers of new small businesses, record numbers of American exports all over the world. Our auto production is #1 again in the world for the first time since the 1970s. Home ownership at a 15-year high. The minimum wage will go into effect, the increase, in October, and it will raise wages for 10 million of the hardest working people in this country. I think that's a good thing. 25 million Americans, including some of you in this audience, I'll bet, will be helped by the passage of the Kennedy-Kassebaum health care reform bill, which says to Americans, you cannot lose your health insurance or be denied it if you change jobs or just because someone in your family has been sick. That's what insurance is for. For the first time since before the Civil War in the 1840s, we have reduced the government's enormous budget deficit in all 4 years, a total of 60%, for the first time in well over 100 years. We can be proud of that. We are moving in the right direction. We're on the right track. There are 1.8 million fewer people on welfare than there were the day I took the oath of office. Child support collections are up 40% and up 48% in Florida. Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Florida. You're doing a good job. We have worked hard to make sure that America would be the strongest force for peace and freedom and prosperity in the world. We have undertaken what anyone would say is the most successful restructuring of military forces in history. We have maintained the capabilities, the readiness, the qualitative edge of our armed forces. You heard Governor Childs say it, but I want to say it again. I'm glad that the F-22s are going to be headquartered here, and I know you will do a good job of helping to maintain America's defense. But we still have more to do if we're going to build a bridge to the 21st century that everybody can walk across. We've got to keep economic growth going, which means we have to balance the budget without unfair cuts in education, in environmental protection, in research, in technology, in Medicare and Medicaid. We've got to go forward together, investing in the things that will make us stronger. We have to give the right kind of tax cuts to America's families. They ought to be focused on raising children, on education, on emergency needs like health care, on buying that first home. And we ought to pay for our tax cuts and not have to cut Medicare, Medicaid, or education, the environment more. And we ought not to let that deficit go up. Last year, before they changed their position, our friends in the Republican Party put out one piece of paper that I agree with. They said if we get off this plan to balance the budget and we send a signal that we don't care about it anymore, interest rates will go up 2%. Now, people always tell me, don't ever talk about balancing the budget when the economy's good. People get bored by it. They only care about it when the economy's bad. You should care about it. If interest rates go up 2% because the government is borrowing money when you're trying to borrow it, that means 2%. On a home mortgage, on a car payment, on a credit card payment. Even more important than that, it means 2% for every business person that wants to borrow money to start a new business, to expand a business, to become more productive so that more people can be hired and more can get a raise. We've got to keep working to balance the budget in the right way to grow the economy. We passed a welfare reform bill that says to everybody on welfare now, we'll take care of your children with health care, with nutrition, with child care, but if you're able-bodied, you have to go to work. We've got to make sure there's work to do for those people. We have to create those jobs so they can go to work. The crime rate has come down in America for 4 years in a row, but we have to finish the work of putting 100,000 police on the street. And we have to continue to work to protect those who are trying to protect us. You know, in places like this part of Florida and nearly every place in my home state of Arkansas, when we passed the Brady bill and the assault weapons ban, the awfulest hue and cry you ever heard went up. And all these hunters were told that we were coming after their rifles. The truth is, for the first time in American history, we protected 650 hunting and sporting weapons from any infringement by the government. They neglected to say that in the political rhetoric 2 years ago, but here we are, 2 years later, And every hunting season, every hunter in Florida and Arkansas is still using the same rifle unless they chose to get another one. But to be fair and completely honest, there were some people who couldn't get guns anymore. 60,000 felons, fugitives, and stalkers could not get them because of the Brady Bill. We were right, and they were wrong. Now, for reasons I will never understand, our friends in the opposition not only oppose us on that, they oppose putting 100,000 police officers on the street. Folks, when Hillary and I and Al and Tipper Gore took our bus trip after the convention through all those little towns in Missouri, in Illinois, in Kentucky, in Tennessee, I went to some little towns where the police chief came up to me and said, Mr. President, because of that 100,000 police program, in our little town, we double the size of our police department and we cut the crime rate in half. Don't let them stop this program. This is something that's protecting all Americans from the biggest cities to the smallest towns. So if you want to build a bridge to the 21st century for everybody, then our children have a right to be safe in their homes, on their streets, in their schools, in their future. We've got to build a bridge to the 21st century that enables us to grow the economy and protect the environment at the same time. 10 million American children still live within 4 miles of a toxic waste site. That's wrong. We've cleaned up more in 3 years than the previous administrations did in 12, but if you give me 4 more years, we'll clean up 2/3 of the rest, the worst, so that our kids will be growing up next to parks, not poison. And let me say this. This is so important to Florida. You're growing so fast, but people come here because it's a beautiful place, because they love it. You have to find a way to grow and preserve the environment. Whether it's the quality of water, the Florida Everglades, all the resources you have, Florida has its biggest stake in America finding a way to balance environmental preservation and restoration and economic growth as any other state in America, and that is my solemn commitment to you. That's what we've done, and we're going to do more of it to build that bridge to the 21st century. Let me just mention something else. When Dawn introduced me and talked a little about herself, I thought to myself, I wonder how many non-traditional students there are here who have to balance work and school and taking care of kids. I bet a lot of you do. I never go into a crowd of ordinary Americans that I don't hear somebody talk to me about how one of their biggest concerns is how they can succeed in their work life and succeed in raising their children in their home life. Since most American parents, whether they're single parents or in two-parent households, are both working and parenting, I think you can make a compelling case that our country has no more important responsibility than doing everything in our power to help the American people succeed with their first and most important job, raising their children, and at work. Both of them. Now, when the first bill I signed was the Family and Medical Leave Law, our friends in the other party, the leaders, said, oh, this is terrible for the economy. You will bankrupt the economy. This is awful. There won't be any small businesses can live with this. Well, 4 years later, 12 million American families have been able to take a little time off for the birth of a child or a parent's illness without losing their jobs. And we have, in every single one of these 4 years, started a record number of new small businesses in America, and the job growth rate in these 4 years has been faster than in any Republican administration in over 70 years. I think that we were right about that. So, I'd like to see us expand the family leave law just a little so that parents could have a little time off to go to regular parent-teacher conferences and regular doctor's appointments with their children. I think it would be a good thing to do. I'd like to see parents who have to work and get overtime have the choice of taking that overtime in cash if that's what's best in their family, or in time if that's what's best for their family, to support work and family. Finally, let me say the most important thing, and the reason I'm here today, is that we've got to build a bridge to the 21st century that everyone can walk across, to a century where everybody who's responsible and willing to work has a chance to live their own version of the American dream. and live up to their God-given capacities. And there is no way to do it unless we provide, in this tough, competitive global economy, the finest educational opportunities of any nation in the world to every single person who lives in the United States. Now, as Lawton Childs will tell you, I could keep you here till dawn, and then we'd see that he-coon talking about education. I don't want to do that. But I want to tell you just 3 or 4 things that I think it's important that we do. Some of them affect you directly, some of them affect you indirectly. 40% of the 8-year-olds in this country cannot read a book on their own. 40%. Every child needs to be able to read a book by the time they're 8 and in the 3rd grade. I propose to support our schools with 30,000 more mentors, AmeriCorps volunteers, college students on work study, other volunteers, to mobilize 1 million citizens to help children learn to read one-on-one so that by the year 2000 we can say we built a bridge to the future. Every 8-year-old can read a book. Every 8-year-old by himself. I bet a lot of you are a lot more proficient on your computer than I am and hook into the internet all the time. We're working hard not only to provide every classroom and library in America with adequate computers, adequate educational programming, and properly trained teachers. This summer we started a program with 100,000 teachers to train 500,000 more to make sure the teachers could actually teach the kids, and a little bit of it will be the other way around, in how to make the most of computers for educational purposes. But the real key is hooking all these computers up to the information superhighway, to the internet, to the World Wide Web. You think about it. This is the first time in the history of the country when kids in the smallest towns in Florida and in the poorest inner-city neighborhoods anywhere in America can be able to get the same information at the same quality, in the same time, in the same way as children in the wealthiest school districts in this country. It will revolutionize education and lift our entire country, and we have to build that bridge to the 21st century. And finally, I believe we have to make it possible for every single American of any age to go back to school at any time when they need to go back to school, starting with making 2 years of college, a community college degree, just as universal in 4 years as a high school diploma is today. And we can do that. We can do that. Because, thank goodness, almost every American is within driving distance of a community college, it won't be that hard. What we ought to do is to give every family up to 2 years of a $1,500 refundable tax credit, which will cover the typical tuition cost at any community college in the country. And that will help us to say to everybody, doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter whether other people in your family are going to college, doesn't matter what your other problems are, through the tax system, we'll pay you to go back to a community college if you'll do a good job while you're there, work hard, learn, and go forward. And for people that go further, I think we ought to give families a tax deduction worth up to $10,000 a year for the cost of tuition in any form of higher education, undergraduate, graduate, you name it. We ought to do that as well and encourage people to go forward. Now, again, I say, you can only believe in this if you really believe not only in your own potential, but the potential of every other American. This is a great country, not because we are committed to one particular religious view, one particular racial view, one particular ethnic group. This is a country now where everybody can come, and we say, if you believe in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, if you're willing to work hard and show up tomorrow and play by the rules, you're our kind of American. You're a part of our future. We want to build a bridge that you can walk across because we'll be stronger too. We'll be stronger too. So I want to ask you, that's what this election's all about, a bridge to the future or a bridge to the past, a bridge to the future wide enough that we can all walk across, or everybody trying to build their own little bridge and say we're on our own. I believe that my wife was right. I think it does take a village. We're better off when we help each other. I believe that there is no country in the world, I don't just believe that, I know this, there is no country in the world as well positioned for the 21st century as the United States. But we have to make some fundamental decisions. Do we really believe in opportunity for all, responsibility from all? Do we really believe that everybody who's willing to work hard has a part in our American community? If we believe that, and we're willing to build that bridge, America's greatest days are still ahead. Will you help me build that bridge? Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, you can hear it is a very excited crowd out here, very good response to President Clinton's speech as he makes his way through the audience, shaking hands to some people who are right along the front here. With all the more than 1,000 people who are here in the gymnasium at Gulf Coast Community College, just a few people are going to get to shake his hand, but obviously very many more are trying to get up there right up with the president and get a chance to shake his hand. Just to recap some of the highlights of his speech, it sounded a lot like what we heard at the Democratic National Convention last week. His big theme is building a bridge to the 21st century. He talked about many, many different topics, everything from welfare reform to healthcare reform, gun control. But the big point, speaking at a community college, he wanted to make an effort to make a point about education. He brought out several points. He says that within the next 4 years, he wants to make community college as universal as a high school education is in the United States right now. He says he wants to do that by offering tax credits to people who go to community college, to make it where you can deduct the community college tuition off your taxes. He says also an up to $10,000 a year tuition tax credit for people who go to other universities in this country. Very powerful speech by President Clinton, very much a political speech though. Right now, Mr. Clinton and some of the other dignitaries are making their way around the crowd. I don't know if you can see them right now or not, but Mr. Clinton is still shaking some hands. Governor Lawton Childs going around, as well as U.S. Representative from Mariana, Pete Peterson, shaking hands with folks out here at the auditorium.
Well, as David said, a pretty powerful speech there by President Clinton. In fact, you got a sense that he felt like he may be almost home. The Panhandle he equated several times to his home in Arkansas. He felt like he had a lot in common with the people here in Northwest Florida. And you almost got the feeling that this was almost a tree stump speech. He took a couple of good shots at the Republican Party there in Washington about things that he says they kept him from doing his first 4 years. Of course, asking for the help of the people and the voters to put him back in office for another 4 years to accomplish several plans. As David mentioned, tax credits, $1,500 tax credits for 2 years for people who want to go back to community college. Again, this theme of teaching all 8th graders across the country to be able to read on their own, and he's calling on a force of 1 million volunteers to step forward and assembling that force. 8-year-olds, I'm sorry, 3rd graders. Should I say 8th graders? I meant 3rd graders. 8-year-old children, he said. And also getting access for every classroom in the country on the information superhighway, the internet, the World Wide Web. Putting together that sort of a program as well, which is, interestingly enough, a theme that Lawton Childs has kicked off here in the state of Florida about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Governor Lawton Childs announcing that it was his intention to have the internet hooked up in every single classroom in the state of Florida, or at least every single school in the state of Florida, by this October. In fact, they've even selected what they're calling Net Day to have that accomplished. But you can see a very enthusiastic crowd. President Clinton, most candidates do try and pull out some local references to whatever city it is they're speaking in. Try to relate to the audience that is assembled there. And President Clinton doing a pretty good job of that, talking about the he-coon and understanding full well that this is the first time a president has visited, a sitting president has visited Bay County. And no doubt endearing himself to that audience by saying that all the other presidents before him don't know what they're missing if they hadn't been to Panama City or Bay County yet. Again, a very enthusiastic crowd still there. President Clinton trying to greet as many people as he can without obviously getting mobbed. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 people in that gymnasium. We also understand there are about another 1,000 or so scattered all over the campus who have been watching via the closed-circuit television system at Gulf Coast Community College, which, by the way, the pictures that those folks saw were provided by News 13 in our coverage there. The high school band, the Optimisms there, Optimistics there, still providing entertainment for the crowd there, and the background music as President Clinton leaves the gymnasium. Now let's take a look at the schedule, if we will, very quickly, of what is going to happen next. President Clinton, once he leaves the gymnasium, will head down, we understand, down the sidewalks at Gulf Coast Community College to the Student Union building. And there he will meet and greet some students who have been watching his speech there on the closed circuit system. Then at 6:25 upstairs in the Student Union building, there will be a reception for what we understand is somewhere between 50 and 100 guests. And from that point on, he will depart Gulf Coast Community College sometime just a little after 10 o'clock, 10 minutes after 7 o'clock, I should say. And from there, he will head back to Tyndall Air Force Base, and Air Force One should depart from the Tyndall area at about 7:50. Let's go back to the Gulf Coast Gymnasium where David Delliman is standing by live. David, quite a reception for President Clinton in his speech this evening.
Oh, he is obviously very pleased with the reception he got here. This was a very good audience, a very strong audience. There's no doubt, though, that this speech was very much politics. As much as he talked about education, as much as he talked about the issues, it was very much a politically motivated speech. You heard that as early as Governor Lawton Childs' introduction. Governor Lawton Childs says, "We want to build a democratic history here in the Panhandle." We've mentioned several times today that the state of Florida just has had a history of voting Republican in presidential races for the last 20 years, and they are hoping, the Clinton-Gore campaign is hoping they can change that. Whether this speech here today is enough to change that or not, nobody can tell. We want to go ahead and recap a couple of things that President Clinton did talk about during his speech, other than education. Part of his spiel for building a bridge to the 21st century starts with welfare reform. You know that the Congress just passed a very strict welfare reform bill that sends a message to people to get off welfare reform and get to work. Now, what he wants to do now is provide work for those people. He says now our main job is to create jobs for those people. Another thing he's very proud of is the Brady bill being passed under his administration. He says that hunters are still able to get their guns to go out hunting. He made specific references to hunters in Florida and Arkansas who were very much against this to begin with. But now he says this country is a much safer place because of the passage of the Brady bill. Another thing very much interest to middle-class families, and that's a very key target group for voters, is expanding the Family Leave Act. They want, already families can leave, parents can take off when there's a pregnancy in the family, things like that, and they are not allowed to be fired under law by their employers. Now he wants to expand that so parents will not get in trouble if they take time off to go to parent-teacher conferences or if their child has a doctor's appointment. Some of these things are very critical issues. They're trying to target that key age group right in the middle where they think the strong voters will be, who are swing voters, who could vote for Dole, who could vote for Clinton. And after this, they're hoping they will vote for President Clinton. Right behind me, you can see President Clinton is shaking even more hands. He made his way all the way around the the front of the stage just a couple of minutes ago, shook several dozen hands, came back, took his coat off now, and he is surrounded by Secret Service people as they are allowing even more people to come up front, take some pictures, and shake some hands. And it looks like he might even be giving a few autographs. Several people are definitely holding out some paper, holding out pens, trying to get the president's autograph. One thing you can really see very well at this point is the media on stage. We have media surrounding the president. Of course, this is the traveling media pool that goes with him from location to location. These people are constantly busy, and you can see that they are doing the work to do whatever they can to get the video, to get the sound of the president, follow every move he makes.
David, I don't know how well you can hear me, but I will try and get your impression on this. You know, President Clinton came in. He did not avoid the fact that this is Republican territory, or at least it has been in the last 9 or so presidential elections. And he seemed like he was heading right into the lion's den and was well aware of it and ready to acknowledge that.
Well, he wanted to make a very big point about that. He knows that this area has always voted Republican. He knows that the state of Florida has voted Republican since the election of Jimmy Carter. And he wants to change that. He says that his campaign can change that. And they want to make history here in Florida and make history here in the Panhandle by getting President Clinton elected. Now, like we said earlier, whether that actually happens with this speech or not, nobody can tell. We'll have to wait till November. But he's making an effort here.
All right, David, thanks for your report. We're going to go to a quick commercial break here, and we'll rejoin our live coverage of President Clinton's visit to Bay County in just a moment. Stay with us.
Question.
Yeah?
If Columbia is a hospital, what are we doing here?
Oh, well, Columbia is a lot more than just a hospital. You know, if a patient needs care at home, you know, we want to be able to provide that, too.
Columbia doing home care. Wow. Yard work? Roofing?
No, home health care. I'm here for Mr. Riley's physical therapy.
Oh, well, yeah.
Rhodes Labor Day sale was the best Labor Day sale we've ever had. Thousands of people found beautiful furniture at some of the best prices ever. In case you missed it, we're holding it over for one more weekend. We've reduced everything from 5% up to 50% off. The furniture you've been looking for at 5 to 50% off. With no interest for 1 year and no payment for 6 months. Don't miss it this time. The biggest Labor Day sale ever. Held over for one more weekend at Rhodes.
When the aliens invade, it'll be early morning. They'll use the element of surprise. But they won't surprise Edna McIntyre. Edna gets up at 4:30 to prepare Hardee's made-from-scratch biscuits. Edna will startle the aliens, who will retreat in their spaceship, never to enjoy the freshest biscuits on the planet, like the wonderfully delicious bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. It's made this way every morning at every Hardee's and only Hardee's. And right now, it's only 99 cents. Hardee's. What they think of next.
A hospital exists for one reason, the care and healing of the community. And that's the reason Bay Medical Center has brought open heart surgery right here, a statewide leader in high-risk cardiac cases. The reason our cancer center is state-of-the-art. The reason for major expansion and remodeling. The reason our physicians represent almost every medical specialty. The reason we're so proud our patients don't want to go anywhere else. Because a hospital exists for one reason, its patients. Bay Medical Center.
News 13, your news station, WMBB, Panama City, Florida.
Welcome back to our live coverage of President Bill Clinton's visit to Bay County, Panama City, Tyndall Air Force Base. Let's go back out to Amy Hoyt, who is standing by live out there. Amy, I understand President Clinton has just left the gymnasium.
Yep, Tom, he has exited the back door and on his way, as we understand it, to a reception here on the campus of Gulf Coast Community College. I guess David had told you a few minutes ago that he was shaking hands, obviously, after his speech. He had taken his jacket off because it did end up getting quite hot in here, and coming back to shake hands with little children who were sitting on their dad's and mom's shoulders, reaching out to him, and of course taking the moment to shake their hands and say hello. It's quite interesting just to look and watch and see how it all happens. I mean, it's all planned out, obviously, because he is the president. All the Secret Servicemen around him. I found it unusual. I didn't realize this. He reaches over the guardrail in the front here to shake those hands. His security men come around him, and one actually is hanging on to him, almost like hanging onto his belt loops, I guess, so he doesn't fall forward, or in an event that someone tries to do something silly. So they hang on to him as he actually makes his way around. But he has exited at the moment, and the crowd is beginning to dissipate and make their way out. A lot of happy people today. The media, the national media, has left the space where we are. Of course, they follow him as he goes out to shake hands, and they will follow him to wherever his next setting will be, and of course probably most likely the reception. And as you and I know, I believe 300 people, that was invitation only, into that reception here on the campus. They're actually going to feed the president some special food prepared for him this week.
So it was 300. I did not realize it was that big of a crowd. 300 people, huh?
That's my understanding. Yeah. I would have to double check on that, but that was my understanding yesterday when we were making preparations, that about 300 people would be allowed in the reception, but it is by invitation only. So we won't be in there, although a camera will be in there. We'll be able to show you that tonight at 10.
Amy, what was your impression of the crowd and how they received the president and his speech?
Well, it's just like you see on TV. I mean, when we see him touring the country and we watch the network news at night, it's just like you see, you know, when he says something they cheer. They never drowned him out. They never stopped him in the middle of his speech with any kind of overabundance of cheers. Of course, they were happy with some things that he said. But, you know, everybody was just in a happy mood, very respectful. I'm guessing that not everybody here is a Democrat, but taking the time to hear what the President of the United States has to say as he campaigns to keep his job for 4 more years. So everybody looks happy. I don't see any disappointed faces. Of course, the kids getting a thrill out of it, as you can only imagine, young kids. Speaking about education, as David mentioned to you earlier, that's a high priority for him as he campaigns. He mentions it in most of his speeches that we hear. And, of course, he brought that up today, being here on the campus of Gulf Coast Community College.
Okay, what's happening there now? Are they allowing people to leave the gymnasium?
Well, actually, right now, they're just they're letting the crowd file out. As you can imagine, it's taking some time to get 2,000 people out of the gymnasium. The national press has left, and the band is breaking down. It's just kind of, he came in, it was like one big party, and it's basically over. It's kind of a whirlwind affair, a little overwhelming to start with and to be in the middle of it. And now it's like everybody's just taking a deep breath, and we're winding down as the event is, the big event, with the speech of the president is over.
Okay, Amy, you and David regroup. See if you can grab a few people who listen to the president's speech and see what they have to say. We'd like to find out what one of the participants there had to think about the president's visit and the speech, and we will rejoin you as soon as y'all can find somebody that will come back and talk to us, okay?
All right, so you're going to give me a minute to go around?
Yeah, go find somebody, and we'll check back with you, okay?
Very good.
All right, thanks. That's Amy Hart reporting live, of course, from the Gulf Coast Community College Gymnasium, where President Clinton has finished his speech, his first ever presidential visit by any president, for that matter, to the Bay County, Panama City area. President Clinton choosing community colleges on more than one occasion in this 2-day trip to the state of Florida because he is again pushing a $1,500 tax credit for 2 years for American families for people of any age, from college age on up, to go back to school. He feels like community colleges, a 2-year degree in community college, should be just like getting a high school diploma, and that people should be able to get a tax break on that, a tax credit of $1,500 for up to 2 years. So he's not choosing community colleges by accident. In fact, one of his stops yesterday was at a community college, and I think earlier this morning he was also at a community college in Orlando. So the president's speech now concluded. He is now walking across campus to the Student Union Building at Gulf Coast Community College, where he'll be shaking hands with students there who watched his speech via the closed-circuit system there at Gulf Coast Community College. And then that reception that we have talked about so much. Pete Peterson is the guest of honor at this reception. Other than the obvious, President Clinton, of course, is the main guest of honor, but Pete Peterson is being honored at this reception as well. As you can see, most of the crowd, that 2,000 or so people gathered to see President Clinton in the gymnasium, has now filed out, and there are a few people who are probably still there just relishing the moment that they actually got to hear a sitting president address them in a live speech. It's quite a special thing. It doesn't happen very often, and of course it has never happened here in Bay County. Let's take another short break. We'll go back to more of our coverage of the presidential visit by Bill Clinton to the Panama City area in just a few moments.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
No matter how high the thermometer climbs or how sticky the humidity gets, nothing will be hotter this summer than the deals you'll get during Jeep Summer Days, where you can get up to $1150 in option package values on Jeep Grand Cherokee, values over $1,800 on Jeep Cherokee Sport, including no charge air, and deals that are truly steamy on the all-new Jeep Wrangler. But you'd better hurry in, because deals this incredibly hot are bound to cool down fast.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer today.
The storm is coming, and protecting your home and family is first priority. You can be assured of that protection with roll-down shutters, which have been used in Europe for over 100 years. You can get the leader in hurricane protection by calling Kurt Schmidt Enterprises. Kurt Schmidt brings over 35 years of experience to you, along with the new clear alternative to roll-down shutters, Clear Shield, Dade County approved to 140 miles per hour. You're invited to visit their local factory and showroom and see for yourself the clear difference in hurricane protection at Kurt Schmidt Enterprises.
How do you know if you have termites? Call the experts at 1-800-TERMINIX. Terminix protects more homes from termites than anyone, and they offer the best guarantees in the business. Call the neighborhood professionals, 1-800-TERMINIX, while you still can. Nobody bugs bugs like Terminix.
99 cents for 5 nuggets.
99 cents!
Did you know Wendy's 5-piece chicken nuggets are just 99 cents every day?
Excuse me?
This price is every day?
That's right.
Dave is proud to present 5 crispy chicken nuggets for 99 cents every day.
99 cents is not going to change?
This is not like for a week.
I don't know what to say.
That's a good nugget.
What a bargain. Good deal.
That's white meat. Ah! 5 nuggets for 99 cents.
Never seen a chicken deal that good.
It's quite possibly the best deal in chicken.
It's worth crossing the road for.
Welcome back to our live coverage of President Clinton's visit to the Panama City, Bay County area. You know, this whole thing got started just a little more than 2 hours ago when President Clinton stepped off of Air Force One. There it is, landing at Tyndall Air Force Base, the 747, a bright white plane with a bright blue stripe down over the cockpit area and all the way down the side. It is an unmistakable sight when you see that. And then President Clinton stepping off the plane, greeting local dignitaries, including the commander of both Tyndall and the Naval Coastal Systems Station, as well as Congressman Pete Peterson. Governor Lawton Chiles traveling with the president from his earlier stop in Orlando. There you see Congressman Peterson, Governor Chiles, and President Clinton all loading into the official limousine, the motorcade, leaving Tyndall Air Force Base and then heading on to Gulf Coast Community College, where the president just finished his speech, and he very much endeared himself to the local audience who was there to hear him speak when he talked a little bit about why he came to Bay County. Let's take a look.
A lot of people say, well, why are you going up there? They never vote for Democrats. And I said, well, I remember when Lawton Chiles ran for governor in 1994, and the Republicans said it was their year and that people of Florida would never re-elect him. He kept coming up here and saying that he was going to remind everybody that the he-coon walked just before the light of dawn, and I figured if I came up here, maybe I could find myself a he-coon, so I'm looking around trying to find one.
It worked for Governor Chiles. Let's see if it works for President Clinton. The he-coon walks just before dawn. Let's go back out to the college where Amy Hoyt is standing by live. Amy, I understand you do have a few guests with you there.
We sure do. As you know, 2,000 plus people out here listening to the president, everybody having a different opinion on what they heard and what they liked and disliked. Right now, this is Bernie Cagle from Panama City. And what did you make of the president's speech?
I thought it was fantastic, Amy. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me. Got to shake the hand of the president. I got to shake the hand of the governor. I don't know what more you could ask for. It was a lot of hard work going in there, working here, setting this all up, but it was well worth it for me. It's something I'll always remember.
So you think it worked out just fine?
Definitely.
Were you a Clinton supporter ahead of time?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes,
Why?
Why? I'm a registered Democrat. I believe in the things he believes in. I'm an American, and I just try to exercise my constitutional right whenever I can, and I think he's a good man for the job, and I think he's proven it over the past 4 years.
Well, we appreciate your time. I know you had a role in working out here today,
cleaning
too.
up now.
Cleaning up. Well, we'll let you get back to it as we interview young David over here. What's your full name, sir?
Dave Collins.
And you said you were from Panama City, but you live in Central Florida.
Panama City for about 10 years, and I went to Orlando, and now I'm back up here in Panama City.
So you just happened to be on vacation, and you heard the president was coming, and you did what?
As soon as we heard, we went down there yesterday and waited 2.5 hours to get tickets so we can come and see him.
Was it worth it?
Yes, it was.
What'd you get out of his speech today?
Kind of lost words on that one. I got a lot. I really like the part about the college, the 2 extra years of college, and where they're going to help pay for that on their tax purposes. But I don't. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I just can't believe I actually got a chance to even shake his hand or even see him in person.
Did you shake his hand?
Yeah.
Oh, you did, so you must have been down front.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that everybody was going down there, I wanted to get that chance.
All right.
I really do think a lot of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, and I really admire them for what they've done for the United States.
Well, we're glad you had a great time. We appreciate you stopping by. We have time for one more? Yep. Come here. I have a young person here. What's your name?
Tony Rosebush.
Say it again.
Tony Rosebush.
You get to hear the president speak. How old are you, first of all?
13.
You're 13? What are you, in 7th, 8th grade?
8.
8th grade. All right. Do you live in Panama City?
Yeah.
Okay. And who got you the ticket to come out today?
My dad.
Your dad? You came with him?
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you think about meeting the president at such a young age?
It was good. I liked it.
Did you get to shake his hand?
Yeah.
Did you understand anything he was saying as he tries to speak to the crowd?
Not exactly. I was mainly trying to get through the crowd and get to see him and everything.
You're just happy to be here, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we sure do appreciate you talking with us. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day. That's just a few of the people who are here, young and old alike, a lot of adults, mostly adults in the middle age range, and most of them filing out now, of course, as Bernie mentioned, they're cleaning up now. A lot of people's first folks here cleaning up and breaking down the stage and putting everything away. Tom?
You know, you saw a lot of young children out there in that audience, though. You could tell their parents had brought them, and one day, 20, 30 years from now, they will be able to say to their children, I once got to see a president of the United States.
They sure can. I'm sure it's something, a lot of picture taking out here. I'm sure it's something they're all going to remember. All
right, Amy, thanks for your report. Of course, we'll check back with you before we end the half an hour. We're going to take a quick break, and Captain Norm's going to join us with a look at our weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching live coverage of the presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
We all grew up with Shoney's. For 40 years, they've been serving folks pot roast, country fried steak, and hot vegetables. Shoney's calls it classic American food, but I can sum it up in one word. Well, 2 words. Come try Shoney's Classic Seafood Bar. All your classic seafood favorites, baked fish, bite-sized shrimp, stuffed crab, all the trimmings. All you care to eat, weekends at Shoney's. Sure beats carrying a fishing pole.
Announcing Lincoln Reward Days. Time for our biggest Lincoln savings of the year. Now lease your choice of Lincolns for only $4.99 a month with an equally remarkable $4.99 down. Choose Lincoln Town Car, a Consumer's Digest Best Buy, just $4.99 a month, $4.99 down. Or select the impressive Lincoln Continental or exhilarating Lincoln Mark 8. Your choice, just $4.99 a month with only $4.99 down. So take your pick, but don't take your time, because Lincoln Reward Days end soon.
I'll get someone who can.
I got a foreman. He's got a supervisor.
Put on another crew if you have.
They got a boss. I get headaches.
For tough headache pain, you need fast-acting Goody's headache powder with the power of not 1, but 2 pain relievers for extra strength relief.
I take Goody's, and at least the pain in my head goes away.
1 week to finish those foundations.
Goody's powder, it gets the job done.
In most stores, when you buy magazines, snacks, greeting cards, pantyhose, and lots of other items, you pay the full package price. But not at Winn-Dixie, where you get a 10 to 50% discount every day. Save 10% every day on chips and snacks. Spices, school supplies, and pantyhose are 20% off, and wrap up savings of 50% on these discount items. Service matters at Winn-Dixie, too, so send in a comment card and tell us how we're doing.
Welcome back. Captain Norm rejoining us now with a look at our forecast. Actually, Norm, this is your first time up with us in the last 2.5 hours, but, you know, the folks up around the Carolinas having some trouble with Fran.
Yeah, they have a kind of a corner in the bad weather market. That and one other place, and that's out in the tropical Atlantic, right in here in the midst of this TD number 8. It's really a nothing system so far, but it could develop, and that's what we're watching right now since this has already made landfall. Fran is pretty much history already. As we look into some overnight lows from last night, Gene Steepleton, White City down to 71, 69 for Leadadorn and Bluntstown. Coolest spot, and happens often up in Caryville, close north of Caryville, actually. Bill Short with a low of 65. We're not sitting that pretty right now. 90 in Crestview. They didn't get those showers this afternoon to cool them down. You see a lot of places missing that, Valdosta being another. Let's have a look at True Doppler, see where the action is, or lack of it. Most of it across the border in Alabama, a few little splashes that disappeared out of Liberty County. Most of it's moved upstate, and we're operating on only a 20% chance of showers tonight in the area anyway. Looking right now at the rainfall amounts collected over the last 3 hours. You can see it's rather light. This is like less than 2/10 of an inch, about up to about an inch. This little blue spot up in extreme northwestern Calhoun County. That's about the size of it. Throughout the southeast, showers are scattered. They are scattering elsewhere other than our neighborhood, because we sure didn't get much of anything, especially here in Panama City. Stayed pretty nice. We saw the clouds roll by. They left us alone, even though we're operating on a 30% chance. Let's have a look at our tides. Over the weekend, tides will range just a tad over, excuse me, high tides occurring in the morning, low in the evening hours. A little over a foot, they'll cave in on us about midweek. We'll have almost no tides at all. In other words, go to nip tides. For Apalachicola, both tides just about equal. Range being about 1.3 feet, and they should be just about the same for Sunday. Let's have a look at our coastal marine forecast. Another mild day. A little wind shaking the tower cam there, but not shaking anything offshore. Southwest 5 to 10 knots when there's anything at all out there. 1 to 2 foot seas. Be slick calm probably overnight and early morning. Inland waters a light chop. The sea breeze kicks it up, of course, late in the afternoon. Tonight, at a 20% chance of additional thunderstorms. They'll disappear off the radar as they always do late. Variable winds about 5 to 10. Low of 70 interior to about 75 on the coast tomorrow. Partly cloudy day. About a 30% chance of a shower. West winds becoming southwest about 5 to 10. That'll kick up during the mid part of the day. High of 90. Tomorrow night, 20% chance of early thunderstorms. Low in the range of 70 to 75 degrees. And the extended forecast from here on out looks like we'll have fairly normal weather. Partly cloudy skies each day from the weekend, taking it right up to about Tuesday of next week. Daytime highs a little bit on the muggy side, probably about 90 on the coast to the middle 90s inland. And overnight lows will be in the low to mid-70s.
All right, thanks a lot, Norm. Well, more of our live coverage of President Clinton's historic visit to Bay County in just a moment.
Coach got a little gift for you from Great Southern Wood.
Oh, Jimmy, you and that yellow.
Well, that means our wood is clean and straight and backed by a lifetime guarantee.
Well, here, hold on to it for me.
I got it.
The pass is out of bounds.
Need a ball.
6 yards. The snap. What? A flag on the play? No, it's a yellow ball. And the quarterback's been sacked for a 10-yard loss. What a tough break for Terry Bowden. The quarterback.
So remember, if you don't see Osmos on the yellow tag, believe me, you don't want it.
Holy claw! Grab your weapons! Bobzilla's back!
Attention, Panama City, they're flying in fresh from Maine as we speak. Holy claw, these are huge killer crustaceans. When Lobzilla hits Hamilton's, you've got to be ready, you've got to be hungry, but you've only got to have $10.95 for the whole Maine lobster. Steak and half lobster, steak and shrimp. We have it all, but only through October 15th. One killer crustacean. Hurry!
After this season, the Braves will be leaving Atlanta Fulton County Stadium with memories of home runs and championships. But some will be taking with them a little bit more.
Schmaltzy, what are you doing here? Bobby, I'm not leaving without my lucky dirt.
Order an authentic piece of the Braves pitcher's mound for only $4.99 at any participating Pizza Hut, the home of the Braves.
Magic, I tell you. Just keep digging.
Pizza Hut, you'll love the stuff we're made of.
Hey, I'm at Food World, and Food World wants to make your shopping easier and save you money. Look at this. All 2-liter soft drinks are 25% off. What? I'm not kidding you. And sweet, juicy white seedless grapes are 79 cents a pound.
Cool. That is cheap.
Yes, it is. And all frozen pizza 6.4 to 28-ounce packages are 25% off.
Terrific.
You've got that right. So if you're short on time and you want to save money, this is the place to be. Food World, price is good through September 10th. See store for limits.
Welcome back to our live coverage of President Clinton's visit to the Panama City-Bay County area. Let's go back out to Gulf Coast Community College, where we welcome Susan Casper for the first time in our broadcast. Susan?
Thanks a lot, Tom. Well, you know, they said Clinton supporters, they weren't just here at Gulf Coast. They were all along 98, as well as from Tyndall Parkway all the way into Gulf Coast. I had an opportunity to go out and talk to a couple of people who were out and about supporting Clinton. I was at the intersection of Beck and 98, and he came by. They said they wouldn't go below 60, and I believe every bit of it. They drove by about 60 miles an hour. They were rolling to get here on time to Gulf Coast. People were out there. A lot of kids were out there. I had a chance to talk to them, and they said that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them to see President Clinton. That, like Clinton said earlier, this is the first time a president has ever come to Panama City. So it was very exciting. And something very interesting, a lot of the kids that were out there, as well as parents, they said 2 major events went on within the past month or 2 months, and that was the Olympic torch coming through and now President Clinton. So a lot of excitement. The kids were really raring to go. And you had to look quick. There was about 30 people in the caravan, and they drove past, and a lot of talk on if they would go down Business 98 or if they would go down 98, 15th Street. And they did go down 15th Street from Tyndall Air Force Base all the way in, and he said it was a beautiful trip, and there was a lot of people, hundreds of people all down the sidewalks supporting him and cheering him on. It was a quick event, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, that was my question, getting ready to be my question to you, Susan, was as you navigated the route, did you see a lot of people out waiting for the president to come by?
They were. I got in place about 3:30, and there were already people lined up, and as the time went on, he came by probably about 5 till 5. They were a little bit behind schedule, not very much, just a few minutes. So I was out there a good hour just waiting and anticipating. People were already lined up when I arrived at 3:30, and more people kept coming. So by about 4:45 or 4:50, he came by, like I said, 60 miles an hour, and there were talks that some of the sheriff's officers said they wouldn't go below 60, and they didn't. So it was really exciting, and when it was over, I went up to a few of the spectators, and I said, well, was it everything you had expected? They said it was quick. So you had to look fast. He was in the second car, which was pretty exciting, because like I said, there was about 30 cars, and you had to look, and you had to look quick, and he was waving and campaigning, but it was pretty exciting.
All right, Susan, well, listen, we look forward to your report coming up tonight on our News 13 at 10 recap of the president's visit. All right, thanks, Susan. Susan Casper reporting live from Gulf Coast Community College. Well, we understand now that President Clinton has moved into that reception of about roughly 200 to 300 people. Congressman Pete Peterson, who is stepping down after his term in Congress ends this year, is one of the guests of honor at tonight's reception. And of course, you know that President Clinton has nominated Congressman Peterson for the first ambassadorship to the country of Vietnam in over 20 years since the Vietnam War ended. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
I want to say a special word of thanks and honor to your retiring Congressman Pete Peterson. He has, as all of you know, he has served his country magnificently and at great sacrifice to himself and his family for a very long time. And I honor him, and I was honored to be able to nominate him to be our nation's first ambassador to Vietnam since the end of the Vietnam War. He will be terrific at it. Now, in order for me to see his nomination through, I have to get my contract renewed, but if I do, that's a campaign commitment you can put in the bank. He will be the next ambassador to Vietnam.
And again, President Clinton and Congressman Peterson in that special reception that is just about to start, in fact, right now at Gulf Coast Community College. We have about a minute left in our full extended coverage. We will be joining you, I would like to point out, around 7 o'clock when the president departs from Gulf Coast Community College, and then again at about 7:50 this evening when he departs from Tyndall Air Force Base. But we'd like to jump right back out to David Delliman one more time for a quick closing thought. David?
Tom, just wanted to point out how quickly it takes to clean this place up. I'll step out of the way for just a second, and you can see this auditorium's empty. All the decorations are down off the wall. Every one of these signs that say Clinton to Gore has been taken down for all the preparation that went into this. 2 solid days of working very hard to get President Clinton here, make sure everything went very smoothly. It's all over now, and they're cleaning up.
It's amazing. It's back to school tomorrow, isn't it, David?
It certainly, actually, not till Monday, because tomorrow is Saturday.
That's true. That is absolutely true. David, look forward to your report tonight at 10, kind of recapping President Clinton's speech and the highlights of what he had to say this evening.
That's right. We'll remind everyone what he had to say. In case you missed it, you can catch all the highlights at 10.
All right, David. Thanks a lot. David Dellerman closing out our coverage from Gulf Coast Community College. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in this evening to this very special and historic event here in Bay County, the presidential visit of President Bill Clinton to the Bay County area. We'd like to leave you with a look of one of the day's leaving events. 47's,
yes.
This has been a News 13 special presentation, a presidential visit to Gulf Coast Community College.
In the future, things will still go wrong.
Sorry.
But Gulf Power is working today so things in the future go right. With geothermal systems, the most efficient and earth-friendly available. They heat and cool your home with the Earth's energy. And our energy management systems give you greater control and save money at home and at work. With Gulf Power, you'll get it right, even when things go wrong. Gulf Power, putting energy into your future.
Hi, I'm Dixie Carter, and this little house I just bought on the Tennessee River is my idea of a fixer-upper. And I'd like to invite you in on the renovation to see what one strong-willed woman can do with one old dependable friend, the Bell South Yellow Pages. And just look at all the stuff I'm going to need. Well, I'll catch up with you once I find the right contractor. Yes, hello. I saw your ad in the Bell South Yellow Pages.
Not long ago, two Hardee's employees were making a trip when, in a moment of inspiration, it hit them.
A bacon cheeseburger with a mesquite taste.
As they continued, inspiration struck again.
Double cheeseburger.
You won't find a quarter-pound double cheeseburger this good for just 99 cents. And a mesquite burger with a delicious smoky taste, it's only at Hardee's and also only 99 cents.
Huh?
In most stores, when you buy magazines, snacks, greeting cards, pantyhose, and lots of other items, you pay the full package price. But not at Winn-Dixie, where you get a 10 to 50% discount every day. Save 10% every day on chips and snacks. Spices, school supplies, and pantyhose are 20% off. And wrap-up savings of 50% on these discount items. Service matters at Winn-Dixie, too, so send in a comment card and tell us how we're doing.